the worst QBR ratings in the last, 10 years at least, or since 2010, with at least 20 games played, started. So at least 20 games started since 2010. This is the worst quarterback ratings, period. Think about all the bad quarterbacks, because these are the bottom five. I'm going from fifth worst to the bottom. Brandon Weeden, Christian Ponder, Mark Sanchez, Blaine Gabbert, and the number one at the bottom of the barrel, Zach Wilson.
The Browns drafted a 30-year-old in the first round.
Jeez. Brandon Weeden went through his hoe phase. Went through the hoe phase in his life. He was a hoe, and he matured, and he was in school again, and then he went to the NFL. That's what a fucking life. Low key, everyone should be a Brandon Weeden fan.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's another great day to discuss other people's excellence. I'm the unforgettable one himself, Mr. Burke Carroll. Charles is always daydreaming, and we're two guys that like BSN at work. And today, where basketball is running the headlines, we're going to talk some football. Congratulations to Damian Lillard, I guess. By the way, I don't know if you just saw the story. They said Portland didn't even give Miami a chance to counter.
So I wasn't going to bring it up because I was like, he's going to yell at me for turning this whole fucking thing into a
no. We're not going to talk about. We're obviously going to do a pod on the Damian Lillard thing. I mean, we got to do a NBA preview pod at some point anyway. So
I think it's funny because we wanted to record this yesterday. At the time of recording, it is like past 5 o'clock on Wednesday. So we wanted to record this yesterday on Tuesday. The irony is, the one time we catch the breaking news, we're not even talking about the sport. The breaking news is happening.
Right. The one time we could have just been like, yo, you want to just hop on a pod real quick? It's like, well, we already kind of have to do this one.
And it's because the irony is we were ready to go yesterday, and I just had technical issues on my end. And then it was just like, okay, we'll punt till tomorrow. But we want to talk about these football. That's the most annoying part about it. It's such a nothing week, but there's a couple nerdy things that me and Brett want to talk about. Like, and ironically, neither of the couple things are our teams for once. So we're like actually adamant to do this. And then this bullshit trade happens. And me and Brett dislike it for completely opposite reasons. like we can't even just agree that we both dislike it. Well, we're disagreeing on what we dislike about it because Brett's wrong, obviously.
I just got proven right.
You didn't get proven right.
I did. But anyway, we're talking football. Let's get into it. First of all, thankfully, no catastrophic injuries happened on Monday Night Football. So for once, we could have a celebratory pick as the first slide and not somebody on a cart. So that's good. That we're off to a great start already with that one. However, somebody definitely did get killed, and that was the Denver Broncos. They got slacked. Dolphins fans, we promised you that we would talk about you if you continue to ball out.
I got the stats. Balled out. I got the stats, bro. Hold on. Because this is literal history. And the times, if I could go on my insane rant about the Giants and then that negative history, I want to get, we're not Broncos fans. So I want to give this coach props because a lot of people were shitting on him for not breaking the record. And I really, as a dude that supports good culture in sports, but not that out of tradition or some BS, like it's always been like that way, just like, hey man, good sportsmanship. The way he was like, that's not what we're about. We already did all this stuff. We didn't need to definitely pile on more points on them just so we could break the record in this game that actually isn't that important. So props to McDaniel for saying all that. But the Dolphins broke or tied 13 team or individual records in the victory over Denver. Among them, team records which includes postseasons. Most points in a game in team history with 70. Most touchdowns in a game in team history with 10. Most total yards in a game in team history with 726. Most rushing yards in a game in team history with 350. Most points scored in the second half of a game in team history with 35, which ties a team record. Most PATs in a game in team history with 10 individual records, which also includes postseasons. Mind you, this is a team that had an undefeated season and a championship win. Just for people that may not know that.
It's a team that also had Dan Marino at one point.
Yeah. So this is just great. This is just amazing because they haven't won in forever. And this is just okay. Way to wake us up. Individual records. Most touchdowns in a game by a rookie. 4. A chain.
Devon
guy no one knew existed before this game.
No, you didn't know.
What?
You didn't know. Matter of fact, I have it for drafting. We're going to talk about Devon H. Go ahead.
Okay. Most points scored in a game, 24. Raheem Mozart and a chain. Is I saying his name right?
Who? A-Chain.
A-Chain?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I don't want to sound like an a-hole. Like, I want to give the guy the right name. Most touchdowns in a game, 4. Both running backs again. Most rushing yards in a game by a rookie, 203. A chain. Most passing yards through 3 games in Dolphins history, 1,024. Tua. Most receiving yards through 3 games in Dolphin history, 412 yards. Cheetah. Most PATs in a game with 10. Jason Sanders. And it's just like this. These are on easy mode Madden.
This is college football week 1, a powerhouse school facing the HBCU type numbers.
Yeah, this. Don't even insult HBCUs like that. This is you fighting a school that isn't even in your division. You're just like a charity game because y'all in the same state and y'all need that money in for the influx of the community.
Right. This is whatever university facing whatever state, and they gave them $1 million to get their ass whooped on a Saturday. That's what this is. Like,
no, this is like, I remember seeing it, and mind you, they had 70 points with 8 minutes left in the game. Like, they had 70 points with enough time that mathematically there was a way to hit 100.
Well, yeah, the way they were playing, yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, like, mathematically, they hit 100 at 70 points. Like, not over 100, not a literal 3 digits, but like another 3 scores is way more than attainable with 8 minutes left in an NFL football game. So, and the way things are breaking for them on this game
again, especially the way they were playing and the big plays they were getting, they were scoring like, you read off the stats. It's not like they were methodically going down the field. It was big play after big play after big play after big play.
Big run,
big pass. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's just
like ridiculous. Everybody. It was you playing Madden on easy. Like, I don't know how else to explain this.
Yeah, this is you playing Madden against your like little brother, like, you know what I mean, who like doesn't even know what he's doing. Like, this is just bad.
Who was
like,
talking trash to you beforehand, and you're like, okay,
right? Like, all right, get on the sticks. Like
so. Just again, you put up 20 points in an NFL game. That's not bad. That's respectable. But you're not supposed to put up 20 points in an NFL game and lose by 50. Like, you
and
say
even
the
20 points,
you lost by 50 points.
Mind you, the 20 points, they didn't even really put up. They put up 13. The 20 points was a garbage time kick return for a touchdown. Like, that's how they scored it. And the only reason why I know that because I had the Miami defense. I was pissed. I was like, damn. Because when you have a defense like that in fantasy and the team's like blowing them out, you're mad because it's like, no, I want this game to be over because they're about to give up garbage time points because nonsense is about to happen. And sure enough, nonsense happened. But like, yeah, bro, like they completely dominated. They look scary as hell. This is looking like an all-time great offense. And I wanted to shout out A-Chain because to me, the great team, when we talk about the draft and we talk about, what makes a good draft, it's about drafting for fit, right? Like a lot of teams, they draft for need or they take best player available. No, the best teams draft players that fit what they do. Like I say it all the time, the Ravens always draft Ravens. Every time they draft somebody, I'm like, yeah, that's a freaking Raven. You know what I mean? Like, you just know that player is going to be perfect for what they do. The Steelers, for the most part, do that. The Patriots do that. The Dolphins are doing that. Devon A-Chain was a fantastic pick. This was a deep running back class. We knew about Bijan Robinson. We knew about Jahmyr Gibbs, but there was a bunch of different guys that could have been that RB3.
Right, he was a 3rd round pick. You're making me look him up because I was like, was like, how is there a running back that's like a first round talent that I missed? And there wasn't. Okay, I just felt some type of way.
No, but A-Chain was a guy that a lot of people considered RB3 in that draft.
But you do these drafts, so you knowing who RB3 is for a position that we've gone off the rails about how disrespected it is in general. So in the draft context, RB3 could be a 5th round pick these days. So it's like I really think it's insane to minimize how this dude for the casual audience came out of nowhere. Because unless you're a Dolphins fan, don't tell me everybody was hype about your rookie 3rd round running back. Like bullshit.
No, but that's my point. I think a lot of people thought A-Chain was a good player coming into this draft. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm not saying no one thought he was a good player. I'm saying there's a difference between thinking somebody's going to be good and someone breaking team records.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously, but that's the point I'm making. They got the perfect guy that fits the way they play. This dude is fast. This dude is perfect for that offense. So I'm not surprised that, I mean, obviously 200 yards, 203 yards in an NFL game is absurd. But
4 touchdowns. Like
4, yeah, I'm not saying that, but I'm not surprised that he's playing well because what the Dolphins are doing is what they're saying is we now have an identity and we're going to draft players that fit our identity. And that's what you have to do when you're drafting players. And that's the reason why some of these teams fail, because they're just drafting guys because, oh, this guy's supposed to be good. This guy's supposed to be good. This guy's supposed to be good. But they don't fit. The pieces don't fit. What the Dolphins are doing is they're saying, you know what? This is how we want to run our team. We got to get guys that fit that. And A-Chain was perfect for what they did. When they drafted him, I said, yo, that's a good pick because that's what he is. He's a speedster running back. If you give him a hole, he can break one. That's what he was at Texas A&M. And we see it. We see it. This dude is going to, and they also have Raheem Mostert, who's still good. Like, and the funny thing is they were still trying to go after Dalvin Cook. They were still trying to go after Jonathan Taylor. Like, they're sitting there saying to themselves, no, if we can run the football effectively, that makes our passing game that much better.
And Sue has been that dude this year. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean?
But that's the point though. They want to be balanced. They know that they're going to win with speed. So it's like, yo, we're going to hit you with speed on the run game and in the passing game because you can't do both, right? You can't cover all these receivers and stop the run with speed. Like you're not going to be able to do it. So you're either going to have to
scary good. Like they look scary good right now. It's only 3 weeks. We're going to keep saying that at least until week 4, because once we get past week 4, a quarter of the way done, right? But do you know which team holds the record for most rushing yards in a game? Because as you noted, that was a team record they broke, not a league record. So what do you know? What team holds the record for most rushing yards in a single game?
Probably some.
And I'll give you a hint. The record dates back to the 50s.
I was about to say it's got to be some team in the 50s. Probably the Browns.
That's a great guess. It's actually the New York Football Giants in a game against, get this, it has to be the same game from earlier this year, November 19th, 1950. So, like, that has to be close to the blowout loss or the comeback win, right? 423 yards is the record for a team.
Jeez.
Which, yeah, right? Because sometimes these records, you're like, oh, that could be broken. But then you see like 423 rushing yards in a single game. You're like,
again, that's college numbers. That's not even.
That's more than college numbers. That's college massacre numbers. That's somebody that like you think they had an inside job on a game, and somebody bet over 400 rushing yards in college. You know what I mean? Like it sounds fake. It sounds fake. Like, because I think we get desensitized now because we hear 400-yard passing games more often than not. Not more often than not, but more often than in previous eras. So you hear that on the rushing side, you're like, oh, well, passing, rushing. It used to be. They're 350 rushing yards. It's so, guys, a good game rushing is 60 yards. Just for context, because we really shit on rushing these days. 60 yards a game is an 1,000-yard season. That's a good way to judge what good is, right? So if you're getting between 60 and 80 yards, you're kind of a starting running back in the league. It might not be fast.
Yeah, as a team, you want to rush for like 100+ yards as a team.
100+ period. It could be 101, but if you got over 100 yards rushing, the run game did their job.
Right, as a team, not as a running back, as a team,
as a offensive unit.
That's your running back. That's your backup running back. That's your quarterback.
That's a fullback or in a jet sweep.
That's I'm about to say that's a jet sweep. Like that's a reverse. Like that's all inclusive. Like
these stats are stupid. Like I feel so bad because I'm waiting for this nerdy moment to happen that we can go in depth and argue for like 20 minutes about something so small when it comes to the Dolphins. But they've literally looked so good that it's kind of like, guys, if they're doing this in a couple of weeks, like no matter what happens with their season, it's a memorable season. Because short of an all-time implosion right now, like they're already having a season that if you're 30 and a Dolphins fan, this is your favorite team, right? Like you can say Marino all you want, but like if you're 30, what'd you see? You know, as a Dolphins fan, what have you saw that you really hold your hat on? Ricky Williams? You know what I mean? I'm trying to be serious. Like, what are these seasons that you're like, yeah, this one, I love this one. I'm sure there's teams that pop to your mind, but this one's shaping up to be special.
And we'll talk about it later, but they got a big one against the Bills this week. This is going to be the barometer, right? Because the Broncos are just a mess. But we'll see what they do. We'll see.
I can't wait to be the cringy one and defend Russell Wilson in some capacity on this pod because I'm not going to sit here and act like the dude's been playing at his level, what we expect him to play at. But at the same time, he's not giving up these points.
Oh no, defense has been horrible. Like, I mean, and honestly, this is Sean Payton's fault. Like, you sat there talking all this shit in the offseason.
I knew it.
Talking about no, but seriously, talking about everybody else. But like, what are you going to bring to the table, dude? Like, seriously.
You talk about myself. I'm Sean Payton. Don't you see what I did here?
Yeah, I want a Super Bowl in 2009 because that wasn't over a decade ago.
That's why sometimes, especially like we were talking about hoops before, right? And I was like, yo, like the era that in your mind still exists is we're out of it now. You know what I mean? Like, because like it happens. Everybody, we all have these eras that as we get older that we mentally get stuck in.
Shit, it's almost 15 years ago at this point. Like,
bro. 2015, everybody, 2015 is 7-8 years ago. Like for sports fans that have been paying attention since the turn of the century, I know that you're like, yeah, 2005, man, CJ2K, Chris Johnson, just to throw out a star that all of us remember, right? Like Steven Jackson, all these stars. Hell, I remember when the Chiefs were Larry Johnson and Priest Holmes.
I was about to say Priest Holmes.
Devin Hester was on the Bears, right? Great era of football. That is a long time ago. That is a long time ago. Just to put it into context. So when people are giving these kids now, like Tua, some flowers, because everyone can hate. I was a Jalen Hurts defender in college, but a lot of people, Tua has gotten slandered in his career because of concussions, because of injuries he sustained. And he hasn't lived up to expectations relative to the other guys in his class. But as you just saw what Brent put on the screen, we had expectations for Justin Fields. And is it because the coaching is so god-awful, they're just not running him like they were last year? He had 1,000 yards rushing last year. And in the first 2 weeks, they didn't have one designed run for him. Like, that's coaching. But at the same time, as I'm sure Brett's about to go in on because he has no love for Ohio quarterbacks, he's not reading defenses well, and I say that transitionally just because I've seen Tua get better year to year.
No, that's
as much as Jet fans and Pats fans and Bills fans don't want to acknowledge the Dolphins because division rivals. The Dolphins right now, 3 weeks in, looking like that's their division to lose.
Well, again, I don't want to say that yet. We'll see. They play.
I'm saying it. I'm being declarative.
We'll see when they beat the Bills, if they beat the Bills. But anyway,
yeah.
Justin
how much?
Justin Fields literally probably had the worst week of his career. I'm going to defend him on this aspect. I don't think what he said about the coaching staff was bad. I do think that was taken out of context. I think he was just trying to admit that he's processing a lot right now, and it's hard for him. I think that's what he was trying to say. And a lot of people took that as, oh, you're throwing the coaches under the bus. But I think he was just being like, because here's the thing, right? In the media, we can't do this. We can't ask these guys to be honest, and then when they're honest, we chastise them about being honest. So then they stop being honest, and they give us the same, nonchalant answers, and now we're mad that they're not giving us anything. Like, you
Keep
can't
that
have it both.
energy for Joe Namath later, Brett. Keep that energy about honesty for Joe Namath.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is, like, I think he was being honest. I think he was saying, like, look, I'm used to playing a certain way. I'm trying to do what they're asking me to do. And it's a lot right now. I'm trying to balance between what I do and what they're telling me to do.
And these coaches have no attack. These aren't the coaches that wanted him. If they bring in new coaches, it's the same cycle they've been doing as the Bears. I mean, since pre Trubisky, this team has set up this man to fail. The coaches don't want to run an offense that complements what they have. They want to force a piece into their own offense. Again, guys, as somebody who didn't want Daniel Jones, I'll give the coaches props. We have been a run first offense by design to accentuate the positives of Daniel Jones. And when we have a run first offense, he can open it up and slang it down the field. And I don't know how else. And that's not just me being a biased Giants fan to bring up the Giants. Run first quarterback, design some runs, get tricky. We understand that you guys are not the best offense, but damn, it is 2023. Jet sweeps, screen passes, pistol formations. All of this stuff is just in the league. It's not like niche anymore. Run some wildcat. Just be creative on offense. Keep them guessing and open lanes up.
And honestly, I don't even mind them trying to get him to be a more all-around player, because I think for them to win, right, he can be great doing what he does. But for them to win at a high level, I think he does have to be more of a balanced quarterback. But you're right. Like, they do have to mix in a little bit of what he does well. But I also think, again, I think he was just being honest. Like, hey, listen, I'm trying to do it. It's like he's young in terms of NFL career, but he's still a young man. He's still 20-something years old. If he's been playing football a certain way his whole life, that's hard to then say, hey, don't do that. Stay in the pocket.
You're right. You're right about what he said and how people took it and ran with it. I'm not even arguing that. I'm just saying what you just said is perfect, because if you want to be at play games at an elite level, you have to get here. But yeah, you have to crawl before you walk. You have to walk before you run, and they have to win games. And their easiest path to winning games, just winning regular season games for the first fucking time in his career, is to do what he's good at and build the offense around him. You already got nothing but scrubs, Justin Fields, and then DJ Moore on offense. Komet's decent, Mooney's decent. They're not world beaters. Like, run the offense to make your quarterback the best player on the field. Period.
No, I agree. I agree with.
You don't have to try to win the Super Bowl right now. It's week 3. In fact, your offense, your game plan was so terrible. Their worst game was against the defending champs.
No, I agree with that. But I also understand that, like, he's got to be better too, because some of those throws, it's like, bro, you can't overthink that. If you see a guy wide open, throw it. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, how bad is it?
No, it's hand in hand, but at the same time, just like when Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts, me and you can agree that Sam Darnold wasn't good on the Jets, but they didn't give him a chance to win. And he is better than what we saw on those Jets teams.
Right. He's still not great, but he's better than what we saw in the Jets.
Exactly. Right. And Justin Fields, I think he has great, as you guys know, I've said it on here, I think he has great potential. I thought the addition of Moore and building off of last year, he was in line for that breakout season, and we're talking about the Bears offense. And here we are, and the same folks that'll be so quick to throw this dude aside if a new coach comes in because he's not their guy, and he's shown them nothing, is now in the position of, oh, look, he threw the coaches under the bus. The poor coaches. Now we got to defend the same coaches that are not putting him in the position to win. So no matter what, Field sucks, and it's his fault we're not winning, even though the coaches are forcing him into, well, I'm sorry, how many people don't even know the Bears coach's name?
Matt Eberflus.
That's my point. I knew Brett knew. And he's
a defensive guy
people,
too.
One of my best friends as you know, is a Vikings fan, and he ain't never minced words about his division. I'll put it like that, right? And he said, "Listen, I don't even like the Bears. I don't want to defend the Bears, but I gotta say, I forget this dude's name. Who the heck? Who is defending him over Justin Fields? Like like it's one of those things where, guys, again, this isn't rocket science. It's football. You got a mobile quarterback, a run first quarterback. Figure out your offense like that first. Win a couple games, and then be like, well,
but
really want to develop a more pocket friendly passing game.
Here's another problem too. And Colin Cowherd said this a while ago, and I'm starting. The more and more I'm seeing it, the more and more I'm starting to agree with him. I think if you have a young quarterback, you can't hire a defensive minded coach, because the problem is, when you're a defensive minded coach, your priority is the defense, and you don't really know how to nurture a young quarterback. You know what I mean? So for Matt Eberflus and his staff, they probably are not even understanding the concept of we should build around him, not the other way around. But it's weird because on the defensive side, they probably wouldn't do that, right? If Matt Eberflus had a young corner, and I don't know his defensive scheme, but let's just say he was a zone guy, but they had a guy that was really good in press man, I guarantee you he would probably change up the defense to cater to his young star corner. You know what I mean? So it's weird that coaches know how to do that for their side of football, but they don't know how to do that on the offensive side, or vice versa.
Like, this only happens with certain types of quarterbacks and certain types of coaches. And it takes both, right? Like it takes a certain type of coach to ignore a certain type of quarterback, because as Brett said before, you know a Ravens guy when you see it. That team is the epitome of well ran over the last 25 years. And you know what they did? You know what Harbaugh did when he got Lamar Jackson? He utilized them.
Yeah, he switched everything up. Yeah.
And how much have they won? How much have they won? Oh, I'm sorry. Are they still the Ravens? Are they still in the conversation of the playoffs every single year they're healthy? And one of these years, it wasn't just Lamar Jackson being hurt. It was like 20 plus injuries. So if Lamar's the ceiling, that would be, and this isn't hyperbolic, the best quarterback in Bears history. Like some people get it twisted, because me and Brett will get up here and be fans of our teams and talk shit between Eli Manning and Big Ben Roethlisberger, right? There's levels to this. We're not comparing dudes that aren't in the same breath. It's not like I'm like, you know who's really on Big Ben's level? T-Mobile, Tyrod Taylor. You know what I mean? Like, that's not coming out my mouth. That's my point. Like, I've been blessed in my lifetime to have seen Kurt Warner into my Giants jersey. The worst quarterback in my head besides Aaron Jones is Kerry Collins, like, which is still better than anybody that is 34 years old and a Bears fan has seen for their team. And I know Brett is a Jay Cutler truther. He ain't never made a Super Bowl, and Kerry Collins has. I'm just saying, like that's how bad the Bears have been. Is that you might be able to argue Jay Cutler, but statistically, it's still some dude from before I was born. That's how bad the Bears have been. And here we are. They're wasting a talent, a better talent. Like, if Mitch Trubisky wasn't the guy, right? Because even last year, Daniel Jones's numbers that got him a $45 million contract were almost identical to that of Mitch Trubisky's, right? So if Mitch Trubisky wasn't good and he was your traditional pocket passing quarterback and you got rid of him for Justin Fields, why the fuck are you trying to turn Justin Fields into the same quarterback you just got rid of?
Yeah, it's almost funny to say if you combine the two of them, they'll be perfect.
But it's not even that. You don't got to combine them. You just have to be decisive enough to make the offense. Like one offense that can make Mr. Trubisky look really good isn't the same offense that would make Justin Fields look really good. Period. Like,
actually, that's not even true, because Mr. Trubisky is way more mobile than that. Like, it would be the same style offense for real, because Mr. Trubisky's at his best when he's more mobile. But that's the point. When you have
he has mobility. He's not more mobile than Justin Fields.
Oh no, nobody is.
But like, I'm just saying, because I actually just had this conversation the other day, because somebody said, "Oh yeah, well, you still need to be able to be a pocket passer if you want to win this league." And I said, "No one ever said you can't. You don't need to be able to throw the ball to win a title in this league." But the idea that no mobility or really not that mobile still works is out. Like, Nate, when's the last time that somebody not named Tom Brady won a Super Bowl that wasn't mobile. Spoiler, his name was Peyton Manning. Again, that's a long time ago in football years. And even more so, we're seeing the top 5, 10 quarterbacks, all of them are some degree of mobile. Whether they can just get out of the way.
No, I
I'm
agree.
not saying don't be a pocket passer.
I think they need to. I think they just need to merge styles where it's like, hey, listen, if the first read's not there, go ahead and run. You know what I mean? Like, I think they gotta just keep it simple for now, and then work on that stuff.
And that's what annoys me, because that's on coaching. I'm not saying reinvent the wheel. I'm saying run first and be creative with your designed runs to open up the passing game. This is, guys, I always joke I could be a defensive coordinator, but like if I can just imagine a series like going down the field trying to score and plan out 4 to 8 plays in my own head, just being a fan, what the fuck are these guys getting paid for? Because I'm not doing this. Isn't rocket science. Draw a play on 1st and 10. If we get at least 3 yards, play action. Like, just try it out. See if that works on the first 2 plays. Why? Because they're 2 misdirection plays, and if they bite on one, we might get a first down immediately. Not rocket science. And I don't even know what my personnel is. That's just 2 things. I just diarrhea of the mouth right now, man. It just annoys me, because how many talented quarterbacks have we seen? Not great, but just talent. Get wasted. Like we shit on the Jets for this because they're local to us. But like, I can't imagine what it's like being a Bears fan. Like, I just can't, because you've been inept at the most important position for decades. Like the Lions, we shit on the Lions for being a terrible team, and they were able to at least like be competitive with Matt Stafford. Couldn't put a team around him to save his life, but they were at least competitive. Like the Bears, when was the last time the Bears were relevant? Like Brandon Marshall was on the team.
Yeah, it was the Cutler days. It's crazy. You know,
and then funny? They got traded to Denver.
You know what's funny? I saw a stat. They fired Levy Smith after going 11-6, and they've had 1 winning season since then. Like, just ridiculous.
And that didn't make sense then.
Yeah.
And they're one of those franchises that old ass ownership definitely has some sus decisions that look like it's based in race. I'm just going to keep it a buck, because the Lovie Smith thing is egregious, especially after you tell me, oh, it was because he's a defensive minded coach. 11-6 or 11-5, whatever it was.
Well, from one struggling quarterback to another one, the guy who could have been a Bears quarterback,
turning it up a twat.
Deshaun Watson had his best game Sunday as a Brown. But he still kind of looked like a shell of himself.
Yeah.
I don't really want to harp on him too much because it's still early and I get it. But I'm starting to think it's the Tiger Woods effect, man. I'm starting to think that like he just lost his mojo. Like, I'm starting to think that the massages were something that kept him going. I'm starting to think that his perfect I'm being serious. Like, that was his thing. I'm starting to think that his perfect
because people 2 tenths now,
huh?
It's just 2 tenths.
You're right. That could be. He's 2 tenths.
Right? Loosen up.
You gotta loosen up a little bit. He has to score a touchdown before he throws a touchdown, if you will.
Yeah, bro. Bro, the best part about this, and I swear, I'm living the worst part of Brett right now for Brett, because he wants to try to be objective and do justice by this. How's Baker Mayfield doing? You fucking idiots! You gave this dude guaranteed $250 million. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Beautiful. All the shit I've heard, like I'm the one that gave Daniel Jones that contract. All the shit I hear about $45 million, when that's not even elite quarterback money anymore. I know it's insane, because to regular schmucks like us, $45 million is generational wealth, and these guys are getting it to be a mid-tier at best quarterback in the league. But we're in a generation now where $60 million is the top tier price. With that being said, if Deshaun Watson was a rookie, like we just were talking about Fields, or in year 3, like a young player, he's in the conversation for, is he on this team next year? Or can they upgrade the position? Which is cosmic karma for the bag they threw at this dude during, like, mind you, I know he still has his defenders. He didn't get convicted of anything. Why you fucking with his money? And I respond to them was he wasn't going broke before all the shit come out. I'm not worried about his money. All of his kids better be fed because he was trying to pay every masseuse in the continental United States. Like, calm down, guys.
Well, yeah, my thing is, well, you're right.
Are the Browns relevant to you? Like, do you feel like they're even in the conversation for the AFC, like as a threat, or they're just playing underdog?
With Nick Chubb out, no. With Nick Chubb out, no. But if with a healthy Nick Chubb, yes. And if he ever gets it together, yeah. I mean, he was amazing. Like, people forget he was amazing. But that's another thing too, though. It's weird because, like, in sports, and we'll talk about this with the Zach Wilson thing too. When you're out for a while, I don't know what it is. Like, I guess that's just how good it is to be a professional athlete. If you're not playing for like a year plus, a lot of times it's hard to come back when you're gone from that long. Like, he missed basically 2 years of football. And like, you don't just wake up one day and just be like, oh yeah, I did this already. I know how to do it. It's like, no, like, that's an adjustment period. And he is running a new system and everything else. And he does have the D.O.P.E. Like, that's also a big deal. But he's not even doing, like, again, my thing, and I keep saying this, when you're not even doing what made you special, that's why I'm worried. Like, he was always great at breaking tackles and extending plays and throwing the deep ball. Like, that was his bread and butter. He's not doing any of that. He's getting sacked left and right. His deep ball accuracy is horrible. And that's the part.
You also got to figure he's getting the Michael Vick treatment, and every defensive player is mentally like, oh, he's not going to have his comeback game against me, or they have that mentality of, I'm using this against you the whole time. I'm chirping at you the whole time, and every time I hit you, I'm hitting you for your victim's mentality. Like, they're using it to feed into it, because we always give the quarterbacks the hero's journey, because they have the main character syndrome in sports, especially in football, right? The quarterback. People forget these defensive players are motivated too. These defensive players, mind you, if your whole job is to try to get paid and get that bag off of punching somebody in the face, it's really easy to get motivated if that guy has a less than stellar reputation.
But that's why I said the Tiger Woods effect too, because people forget this dude had a squeak. Like, when you talk about, like, he went from an angel to a devil. This dude was the most respected guy in the sport. This guy was notorious for giving his bonus salaries to the cafeteria people and the janitors at the Houston Texans facility. He was like a devout Christian. Like, this dude had a squeaky clean record. So when this first came out, a lot of people just didn't believe it, because it's like, no, not that guy. That doesn't make, like, are you sure you're talking about the same Deshaun Watson? There's got to be another Deshaun Watson. Because
I mean, people are killing Russell Wilson. He won the Walter Payton Man of the Year, the award given to the best guy off the field every year, like right before he left for Denver. So, and people are acting, mind you, people hate Russell Wilson because he's cringy. Like, that's it. Like, it's not like he's corny and he's cringy. He gets Will Smith levels of hate just because he's like, I don't believe anyone's as nice as you are, and you're kind of corny. Like, that's it. That's the whole hatred. So, like, the idea, it's not that hard to comprehend the switch for Deshaun Watson, because me and you and nerds, because again, I was a big fan of him at Clemson, and I'm not watching every Clemson game. I watch teams I like and players I'm excited about, right? So and he was, I bought into when they called him the MJ LeBron of the draft. He should have went first overall. So from a football standpoint, 100%. From an off the field standpoint, I think the bare minimum for him, because all the stuff you said, 100%, bro. He had the accolades. I'm not saying that, but there was nothing. Like the casual fan, there was nothing to his name. You never heard of him getting in trouble. You never heard him getting drunk. It was like whatever.
No, but that's the thing. He was known as a saint. Like, he was known as a saint. Like,
but we live in America, bro. Like, yeah.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying to you, but that's my point. My point is, people like remember Tiger Woods before the car.
I do, yeah. No, I remember waking up to that, because I think that was during a World Cup.
No, it was like Thanksgiving morning.
Oh, football, yeah, football. Okay, I knew it was sports. I knew there was other sports, and here we were talking about.
It was Thanksgiving morning when he had that car crash. But that's the thing. Like, Tiger Woods had a immaculate reputation, and I think he just lost his mojo. Like when you're
because he couldn't just be slanging it at every event.
yeah, because he couldn't just go walk into his local Applebee's and get that 2 for $20, if you know what I mean.
Bro, Tiger Woods was a savage. Like, there's videos of him just handing women his number. Like, mind you, if you can, like
no, but that's I think sometimes these athletes, right? Like, and I say it all the time. And I talk about with Dame and everything. When they put on these personas, I think that becomes their personality. And if you take that away from them, I think they get lost. Like, yo, who am I now?
Oh, bro, but it's also as simple as shit I've said on our Nets pods, man. Like, people, and as you know now, because it's been a couple years, like, your body changes. You change. Like, and yeah, you could work on it, make you better. Like, we look at guys like The Rock who are in ridiculous shape, but I'm not telling you take roids or anything. Like, I'm just keeping 100. I'm just saying, like, there are ways that you could be in great shape as you get older. Sure, but when you've been beating up your body since you were going through puberty, it's not crazy you're gonna get diminishing returns as you continue to get older. And Deshaun Watson took time off. The worst part about this to me is, like, Colin Kaepernick. He hasn't played in like 6 years. It's over. It's over.
Yeah, I was gonna bring him up when we talk about the Jets. I'm like,
yeah, and we should because it's sad, but like from a football standpoint,
yeah, it's over.
It is
it's like,
so
give it
unrealistic
up
now.
Yeah, give it up. It's over. But yeah, but you brought up the Baker Mayfield thing, and you and others killed me when I said this. I said, yo, I don't know why they're trying to push Baker Mayfield out. And like, it was like, because this Deshaun Watson, like, I know it's Deshaun Watson, but like, y'all didn't win a playoff game in over 30 years. And the off season in which he won you a playoff game, you're like, yep, we're trying to get rid of him for Deshaun Watson. I'm like, wait, what? Like that was so crazy to me.
Mixed because at the same time too, you had the Odell stuff coming out, which take with a grain of salt because different wide receivers, contracts, all that stuff, right? But I think it was the perfect storm because you had the Odell truthers, like, oh, I see, he obviously sucks, or Odell will be getting better, but you get rid of your both of them. And for a second, we were just looking at two running backs, like, so now your whole offense is revolving around these guys because like, I have the power of hindsight of saying, like, wow, you guys should have kept the guy you drafted because he'd probably be doing really well right now for you. But here we are, and the Browns are going to Brown. Cleveland's always going to shoot themselves in the foot.
Well, yeah, I'm not
get well soon, Crazy Bone. Speaking of Cleveland, he was hospitalized recently, so boom, get well.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it. Go Cleveland. Anyway, speaking of
hold on. I need to read the stat that I got from Jets fans Greeny on the Jet fan known as Greeny on ESPN yesterday. The worst QBR ratings in the last, 10 years at least, or since 2010, with at least 20 games played started. So at least 20 games started since 2010. This is the worst quarterback ratings, period. Think about all the bad quarterbacks, because these are the bottom 5. I'm going from 5th worst to the bottom. Brandon Weeden, Christian Ponder, Mark Sanchez, Blaine Gabbert, and the number 1 at the bottom of the barrel, Zach Wilson. There's 2 Jets in there. There's 2 Jets. And one of them is from the last time the Jets were winning games in the postseason. So put that in the context for you. If you're too young to remember who Christian Ponder is, he's the reason that Adrian Peterson doesn't have a ring. And if you're too young to remember who Blaine Gabbert is, he's from the worst days of every Jaguars fan's memory. Like Blake Bortles is the one why they didn't have any success more recently with Saxonville. Blaine Gabbert ruined all their hopes before that. They're interchangeable after a certain point. Brandon Weeden was the
45-year-old Browns quarterback. Yeah, he was the 45-year-old rookie Browns quarterback. Yeah,
he was a 28-year-old, bro. He was younger than we are now. Stop.
But anyway,
yeah, that hits you in the mortality, didn't? You're older than Brandon Weeden was. That hits you a little bit.
No, not really. Good for Brandon Weeden.
No, for real. People that shit on Brandon Weeden, and it's like, I don't think you really are respecting athletically what he did. Like, Like that is actually like you don't. Brandon Whedon isn't a bust to me. I know what this stat says, what I just read, but like it is so unfair as a human being.
Yeah, he was a
to shit
30-year-old.
on Brandon Whedon.
He was a 30-year-old rookie. Like,
bro, yeah, like that's fucking amazing. That's amazing. Not only was he a 30-year-old rookie, football, like the fans included, all agreed, no, this guy's getting drafted. Good for you, bro. That's winning.
the Browns drafted a 30-year-old in the first round. Jesus.
Brandon Whedon went through his hoe phase. Went through the hoe phase in his life. He was a hoe and he matured and he was in school again and then he went to the NFL. That's what a fucking life. Low key, everyone should be a Brandon Whedon fan. Like the Chicago Bears wish they had Brandon Whedon.
As a 31-year-old, I'm starting to realize how insane that is that they drafted a 28-year-old.
That's what I'm telling you, bro. I'm like, let your mortality sink in now, so you can think about.
That is insane that they did. Anyway, so forget the Browns. The Jets. Forget the Browns. They're their own laughing stock. The Jets. Okay. Zach Wilson has been horrible. This season is over before it even started. The question is, because they have a great defense, because they have a great wide receiver, because they have a great running back, should they go get another quarterback? I know a lot of people saying Kirk Cousins. If the Vikings keep losing,
people saying Kirk Cousins, one, are delusional Jet fans because, like, why would the Vikings give up Kirk Cousins for you?
Well, they're
even if they start losing,
because they're 0-3, and if you could get a first-round pick for them, why not?
So the Jets are going to give up a first-round pick to bring in a quarterback for only this year that's getting paid like a starter to then flip for less than a first-round pick, because unless they go on a run, that run regardless will end with his benching. Like a best case scenario.
He's a free agent this summer, so it's one of those things. Well, actually, they probably wouldn't have to give up a first round pick to get him because he'll be a free agent. So
no, you would have to give up. You would have to give up a first round pick to get him, because that's just insinuating that for some reason the Vikings are going to let him walk.
But that's the point. If you're the Vikings, you can at least get a pick for him.
Yeah, but that's it's one of those things where it's like, is that pick worth it if I'm giving you the quarterback that's going to give me a late 20s, like preferably speaking, right? A late round pick. Or I could just re-sign him and I can compete in my own division, which is an easier road to get to the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's just an option. I agree that I don't think it's going to happen. The point is, I don't see where they're getting help from.
No, and I don't think Carson Wentz is the answer.
Jameis Winston might have been an option, but Derek Carr's already hurt, so that's not going to happen. You can have Mr. Trubisky or Mason Rudolph, please. Well, either one of them. Give us a pick.
That's what I'm saying. We're hearing less about Jameis Winston pre-injury and the likes of your backups, or the likes of even Colt McCoy, everyone's favorite backup because he's a competent quarterback. And I'm hearing Jet fans cry that they're not signing Carson Wentz or Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan already said he's not going to come out of retirement.
But it's like these aren't upgrades, dude. Like, they're not. Like, bring back Joe Flacco if that's how you feel. That's my point. Carson Wentz isn't the answer. If he was the answer, he'd still have a job.
You know, I agree with you.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, I'm not saying Zach Wilson doesn't suck, but like, this is year 3. That's it. It's year 3, and you're mad this dude hasn't developed under your own watch, and you knew he didn't develop under your own watch, and you were completely cool with him being the backup to your 40-year-old quarterback. You made your bed lying.
Well, but I think that's what it is. They were all in on Aaron Rodgers. They weren't even thinking about a world without Aaron Rodgers. And
2 years ago, dude, Daniel Jones went down, and we had the worst backups in the world. One, because we couldn't afford to pay to keep Colt McCoy, and two, they didn't want anyone even challenging the spot. And look where it got us, because of an injury. The idea, I'm not saying don't be positive and expect your star quarterback to play the whole season, especially when you have Aaron Rodgers, you want him to play every snap. I understand that. The problem is you are ignoring the sport we're playing, where injuries happen. Period. Like, this is why I get so frustrated when people just scoff at when I bring up Eli Manning being an Iron Man. That's a big fucking deal. Like that's not, oh my God, because he played every game. You don't roll your eyes at that. Like, that is ridiculous in this sport. And Aaron Rodgers is 40. 40. Like, I'm not saying don't keep Zach on the squad. Let him see what he can pick up from Aaron Rodgers by osmosis. All of that. But why isn't Mike White on the team? Why isn't any competent backup on the team next to Zach Wilson? Because last time I checked, these backup dudes, these lifelong backup dudes, are the ones that turn into coaches anyway. So God forbid that Zach Wilson's learning from two veterans or something. Like, I don't understand the thought process here. I turned around because when I off wax when I said to Brett yesterday, talking about it, because I was so annoyed that there's Jets fans coming out the woodwork to talk shit about Joe fucking Namath giving an honest opinion on this team. Brett was just like, hey, I disagree that everyone needs to get clear of their house. Sure, to the Jet fans saying, like, I don't want to get rid of Joe Douglas. Look at this defense he built. I get all that. But either Saleh or Douglas needs to be responsible for the shit show on offense. And what's even worse is there's rumors, and mind you, I heard Kay say this. So Kay isn't just talking out his ass when he brings up certain things and name drops certain things, right? Anyone that listens to the Michael Kay show knows how that dude will leak certain information. Sorry, just looking out the window. Will leak certain information that he's heard from sources he's not going to divulge. Is there some connection to Woody and some business that Wilson's family is connected to out in Mormon country, and that's why he has his job still? Because there's now being tenuous connections being made between business interests of Jets ownership and family related to Zach Wilson. Because if that's the case, sorry guys, it's systemic. It doesn't matter who your GM is. It doesn't matter who your coach is.
Well, even more the reason why you don't fire Saleh or the GM, because I think they've done a great job. I really do.
You convinced me. You made me snap out of the terrible offense I was watching this past Sunday in real time and on Red Zone, because I agree wholeheartedly that this team has not quit. There has been zero quit in 2 years now, or 1 and 3 weeks, of everyone knowing they're doomed because of the quarterback, but not giving up on this team. So if they give up on him this year, that's not an indictment as much on him as it is in his inability to make decisions about the quarterback position. Because I do not believe that Saleh wants him.
Yeah, but here's the thing though, right? And this is why the Joe Namath thing is, I will give Saleh this. I think he handled Zach Wilson poorly last year, right? Him walking in with the Mike freaking White t-shirt and them basically like celebrating till the cows come home that it was anybody but Zach Wilson at quarterback. I thought that relationship was doomed from the start then, because they're like, bro, you're killing this kid's confidence. Like, God forbid you didn't get Aaron Rodgers this offseason. What were you going to do? You know what I mean? So that's why I said with the Joe Namath thing, I was like, yo, y'all got to stop killing this kid publicly. He knows he sucks. Everybody knows he sucks. And when he's walking into a building, imagine going into work knowing everybody in the building hates your fucking guts.
Yeah, but again, that's not our problem. I'm being serious. That's not our problem. That's not a fan problem. That's not.
I'm not talking. No. I'm not talking about the fans. I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking specifically about Robert Saleh and Joe Namath. Like, so
why Joe Namath?
Hold on. For context. Yesterday, Charles sent me the thing about Jets fans getting mad at Aaron Rodgers and Joe Namath. And I said, well, what does Aaron Rodgers have to do with this guy? I didn't know. And Rodgers called out Namath for calling out Zach Wilson. And I just said, I kind of agree with that, because Aaron Rodgers is looking at this like, yo, y'all, like this locker room is already fractured. Everybody just piling on Zach Wilson isn't helping, because at the end of the day,
why is that? Hold on. Joe Namath is not paid by the Jets.
I get that. I get that.
So period. No, that's where it ends. Saying you're not helping the cause, you do that. You do your job now. These guys, literally, this is football now, and it's your job. If you're in that locker room, that's your problem. That is what you have to deal with. It's not on the media. It's not on the fans, which Joe Namath is. He's a legend of the franchise, but he is a fan. That organization of Florham Park never brought Joe Namath in to meet Zach Wilson way before Aaron Rodgers was ever a consideration. So it's not like they have this relationship that even exists. The idea that if Joe Namath is having an interview about football, especially in the New York market, hold on. The idea that Joe Namath is wrong for piling on when it's the honest opinion, I think is bullshit. I think that's letting the Jets off.
No, what I'm saying is he's the greatest Jet of all time, without question. And for him to just talk about how much this kid sucks, and then talk about how the coach and the GM has to get fired because of Zach Wilson, I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. That makes zero sense. One bad player does not mean that you should get fired, especially when the rest of your team.
I agree. I agree.
And again, my point is, I agree with Aaron Rodgers when he's saying, like, yo, man, like, dude, we don't need that right now. Like, that's all Aaron Rodgers is saying. Hold on. I let you talk. I agree with him, but saying, like, bro, this is not what we need right now. We need to rally around this kid. We need to figure out a way to make it work. Us all, even if you want to say stating the obvious, like, what is that doing but killing his confidence even more? That's the only point I'm making is I don't get the whole point of Saleh, even though he hasn't publicly bashed him, we all know he does not like Zach Wilson, right? We all know that he's not even shying away from that, right? And for a guy like Joe Namath to also do that, like, again, my thing is that's not helping anything. Like,
that's no one. Yeah, but that's irrelevant. That is irrelevant to anyone that's not paid by the Jets. That is completely irrelevant. We're not here to help the Jets. That's the point.
I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the Jets.
I'm talking about Joe Namath. Joe Namath, that is not his. He helps the Jets by not lying about objective reality.
No. See, that's where I disagree. You're Joe Namath. Your words matter.
Your words matter. And bro, I'm sorry. So Steve Young, legendary Niner, right? We can agree. Steve Young, legendary Niner. He's supposed to blindly defend Trey Lance as the de facto Niners starter just because. No, because a good organization realizes they make a mistake and don't harp on it and don't dig themselves deeper.
First of all, the mistake wasn't drafting Trey Lance. The mistake was how they coached them. Fuck the Niners. That was stupid how they handled the Trey Lance.
But they didn't keep Trey Lance. They didn't keep trotting out Trey Lance. They got rid of Trey Lance.
Okay, but
so in regards to Zach Wilson,
but you're asking. But hold on.
The Jets are the ones. You're
acting like I'm saying that Joe Namath has to have his Zach.
No,
Wilson.
I'm acting like the Jets need to be accountable here, Aaron Rodgers included. If the whole world can see something. And you're saying, like, don't acknowledge it, though. We're just going to keep doing it. That's your problem.
Okay, hold on. There's a difference between saying, hey, you know what, they're in a tough situation, but, you know, they'll figure it out, da-da-da-da-da. That's a completely different statement than, oh, this guy fucking sucks. Everybody that associated with him needs to be fired. That's a
I agree there's a difference here, but at the same point of
that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he has to have his Jets pom-poms on and say, go, Jets, go. Zach Wilson's the man. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is by you coming out and just completely
he was on the K show. It wasn't like he just randomly decided. He was asked about it and he answered honestly.
I understand, but that's my point. Joe Namath has been around long enough to know, especially with the Jets organization, he acts like this is the worst thing the Jets have ever done in their life. Like, stop it.
This is fucking incompetence. That's what this is. Because if
that's my point. The Jets are an incompetent franchise. They've been
exactly. So why is Joe Namath gonna not call out the incompetence?
Because now, and hold on, I'll give you this. If you can prove to me that he's always done this, then fine. If he's always
he's literally known for just saying whatever he thinks. That's his problem. Okay. He got in trouble. Remember, what was it? Was it Mark? It was had to be last time they were on Hard Knocks, but with Rex Ryan. That last time he said something, and that's why he's been persona non grata with Jets ownership, because he criticized. It was caught by Hard Knocks. They brought it up again on ESPN. It's not like I remember decades old Hard Knocks episodes. Like, that he criticized Mark Sanchez, something technical, some shit that only quarterbacks are going to be like, well, actually, your snap count, you should be doing this and not being that high. Something very mundane to most people. And they were like, oh, how could you criticize Mark Sanchez? You're not helping the cause dead. They had the same reaction back then. That's my point.
Yeah, but Charles, that's my point. You're not helping. That's the point. You are the great. Hold on. You are the greatest Jet of all time.
So how do they get better if you can't criticize them? How?
You act well. First of all, Joe, if you're so great, why don't you call up Zach Wilson and try to help the kid instead of bashing him publicly? Oh, by the way, fun fact: Zach Wilson has thrown less interceptions his first 3 years than Joe Namath has in his first 3 years as quarterback. Just saying.
No, fuck this noise. No. You're not going to do that. You're not going to say, "Oh, why do you help Zach Wilson?" Why don't the Jets get a good starting quarterback?
They did, bro. They got Aaron fucking Rodgers.
Okay, so why don't they? So how hard is it to get Colt McCoy?
Dude, first of all, there's not a lot of great quarterbacks out there. There's something called a salary cap. There's something called a roster position. They had other issues besides backup quarterback.
Okay, so when Aaron Rodgers went down 3 weeks ago, roughly, you're telling me that the only route they could have took was signing Trevor Siemian 2 days ago.
First of all, again, it's only been 2 weeks. Give them some more time to figure it out.
Okay, but you keep saying give them more time. You can't. You don't get to keep trotting out the bullshit and then pretend that everybody needs to be on board with your bullshit. That's not fair. You were not. But
Charles, we just talked about
on this train. You're not helping the kid.
Charles,
2 years ago, when we were trotting out Long Neck McGee when Daniel Jones was hurt. That was just bad fucking management. That was a bad roster.
But Charles, again, we just said, what's the other option? So you're going to trade a pick for Mason Rudolph?
No, I'm saying get rid of if Zach is the worst option, because that's what everybody not paid by the Jets organization is saying. Not just me, not even me, because I don't think Wentz is the answer, but I'm saying if everybody is saying the same thing, every expert is saying the same thing, from Namath to Wayne Corbett and other Jets are saying the same thing about Zach Wilson, right? So it's not just Namath. Rodgers said ex-players, to be fair to Rodgers too. He did not say Namath by name at all. He said ex-players.
So he's right. Go ahead.
He obviously met Namath. I want to say that, number one.
But either way, he's right. Go ahead.
But there was other Jets too. So all the ex-Jets are saying the same thing. So all the ex-Jets are wrong because they're giving their objective truth of what they've been watching. No, they're not wrong. Like the Jets know if their locker room is about to fracture because they're losing faith in their starting quarterback, then just by simple like practice, just bring in anybody else.
There's two different things. You could be not wrong and not be right at the same. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're not. Well, okay, so you're saying they're helping the situation by piling onto Zach Wilson?
I'm saying that I'm saying, let me put on my tinfoil hat. Okay. Let me put on my tinfoil hat a little bit. I believe there's some truth to it's either Joe Douglas or Saleh that is forcing the issue with Zach Wilson. I think it's partially coming from ownership. And I feel like the only reason that there's this edict of, no, we're definitely Zach's our guy, unless Joe Douglas is in that much denial about his second overall pick, there's no reason why they shouldn't bench him and just bring in anybody else for the morale. You brought it up, not me. They had Mike fucking White Shirts. That's what it said. Brett just doesn't like cursing as much as I do. It said they had Mike fucking White Shirts last year. This is the same player. He has not grown.
That's my point. But that's my point. This was a broken relationship.
Who is Mike White?
But that's my point. But that's the point I'm making. This was a broken relationship starting last year.
Exactly. So why are we pretending? Like if you're in a broken relationship, right? If you're in a toxic relationship, like a real relationship, everybody. I'm
about to answer your question. I'm about to answer your question because he was a second overall pick in the draft. They're still paying him really good money, even though he's on a rookie deal. He's getting paid better than most other people are getting paid. So you're trying to make it work, and you were hoping that he could rub off on a Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, but that's not happening, and that's all I'm saying, dude. So instead of Aaron Rodgers is wrong too.
They didn't.
Number one, Aaron Rodgers is the king of passive aggressive statements. So the idea that we don't want to manifest that bullshit. Because all you're doing in reality is manifesting denial and making the toxicity in that locker room build up.
How is it being toxic by saying, yo, man, don't pile on the guy? How is that toxic?
No, you're manifesting the negativity, man. Like you don't want to fracture the locker room anymore, implying that it's already fracturing because you're forcing the issue.
Time out.
Isn't that the implication?
Time out. See, this is what I'm saying. We all know it's fractured, right? It's the truth. It's the honest truth. So that's the point. So why?
So bench his ass and put somebody else under center. That's it. This is football, dude. Like, we've seen better quarterbacks get
Charles, benched. Who are they getting?
We've seen better quarterbacks get benched, right?
Who are they getting? You're not answering the question.
I'm saying bring it for the locker room's sake. And literally everybody I've talked to that is watching these games, every Jets fan, I know, which I'm obviously I don't agree with them on every take they have. So if everybody that's not paid by the organization that includes fans and ex-players,
we have other slides. We have other slides. Who's the guy? Who are the guy they bringing in?
Anybody but him, literally.
Okay. All right.
Bro, you heard the stat. He has the worst QBR rating of anybody with 20 plus games in the last 13 seasons.
Okay.
So anybody. But what you said, Mitch Trubisky, trade for Mitch Trubisky.
But again, now you're giving up assets for a guy that might not even be that much better.
Mitch Trubisky is fucking better. You're really gonna do that now, Mister? You were hyped for Mr. Trubisky last year, and now you're gonna act like he ain't better than Zach Wilson.
I said that much better. I didn't say
that much better. Yes, he's that much better. Yeah.
All right. Hey, listen. Call us up. We give us some picks. We'll give you Mr. Trubisky. I have no problem with that. Speaking of shitty people that need to go.
Oh no, you shouldn't be saying that publicly. That's not helping with the cause. You're a Steelers fan. You want to help with the locker room in here.
This is a grown ass man, not
the bullshit, sir. I hate the face you put on the camera.
Hold up. Stop it. You see his gray beard? Fuck him. Fuck his feelings.
You're so full of shit, bro.
What? Fuck his feelings.
You're amazing full of shit right now. You don't want to pile on this guy. The whole world knows he sucks. He obviously sucks. You don't think everybody in that locker room knows he sucks?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the same shit.
But mind you, hold on. Also, we don't have Ben Roethlisberger's not sitting there saying get rid of Matt Canada. So there you go.
Ben Roethlisberger ain't sitting there.
Ben Roethlisberger has a whole podcast and he keeps talking about the offense.
Oh, he still does? I don't know, man. I don't be checking for Ben Roethlisberger podcast.
Yeah, but
how am I supposed to know that?
But my point is, Steeler legends aren't coming out the woodworks to say fire Matt Canada. The fans are, and the fans are right. They should fire his ass. But
okay, but if just again, if it was Big Ben, if you count and Terry Bradshaw and Ryan Clark. Wait it out. That's all I'm saying, dude. It's not like Wayne Corbett is known as some Jets.
But I'm also saying, you see the gray hairs on that man's beard. I'm not worried about his feelings. And on top of that, he's not going out.
You see the bank account in Zach Wilson's life? I ain't worried about his feelings. Fuck him.
No. But what I'm saying, hold on. But he also doesn't have to go out on the field and perform. You see what I'm saying? Like Matt,
you gotta go perform. You gotta do what you're paid to do.
Okay. All right.
You just said he's getting paid good money, and all of a sudden it's like, don't boo him, guys. We gotta hope he does well. No, not you. You didn't say that. No, literally. Roger said that, and another person said, guys, you shouldn't boo. If anything happens, the Jets fans shouldn't boo. That was some shit they were really saying.
Oh,
well, that wasn't you.
Oh, I'm not talking about that. I'm simply talking about Robert Saleh and Jets legends shouldn't be. That's all I'm talking about. The fans,
no, Robert Saleh shouldn't. I agree. Robert Saleh shouldn't.
The fans, they have every right to boo. They pay a lot of money to sit in those damn MetLife stadiums.
The Jets people were saying don't boo, and it's I don't know how that's going to help.
That's two totally different conversations. Anyway, we're running out of time. Speaking of another guy that should be gone, as in yesterday. This piece of shit right here, Matt Canada, our offense coordinator. We won. Good. We played the worst defense in the league, so great. Kenny Pickett, for the first time in his career, threw 2 touchdown passes. Great. So that's a good thing.
Who'd you guys beat?
The Raiders.
Okay, just no, I'm being serious. It was a brain fart because I saw Josh McDaniels was like, was that only this week? It feels like it's so long ago compared to the other games this week.
Yeah, they promoted him to, I think, like he's quarterback coach now or something. Basically, what they're saying is they're going to give him all the leeway in the world to work with Kenny Pickett, because they're basically saying this is your last straw. Our bye week is week 6. You got till then to prove that you could be a competent OC, or else we're going to fire you. Sure. My thing is, I don't care what happens unless we become the number 1 offense in the league in the next 3 weeks, which we will not. Fire his ass. Please fire his ass, because my thing is this, and I don't want to, I had more to say, but we went on this Jets topic way too long. My thing is this. I told you when we drafted Kenny Pickett, my nightmare scenario he would be Kirk Cousins, right? Way too good to get rid of, but not good enough to win the Super Bowl. My new nightmare scenario, mostly because of this asshole right here with the fucking hat on, is it's going to be a Daniel Jones situation where we don't know what he is. So we have to keep him because we still don't even know what he is. So, because again, even I think he's going after this year no matter what, whether they keep him throughout the whole year or not, he's not going to come back next year.
He's getting promoted to head coach and GM, and he's going to be running that organization for the foreseeable future.
And you know what? I will not be with that organization.
You will not?
I will not be with that organization anymore if they do that stupid shit. But anyway, so we're going to have a new OC next year. So now Kenny Pickett's going to have to adjust to a new OC next year. So that's already year 3, right? So now we're going to be in year 4 when we finally have a chance to really evaluate Kenny Pickett to see how good he is. And this is why I said from day one, do not draft this guy. We're not ready for a franchise quarterback yet. We need to get a better offensive line, which we're still working on. Our defense, even though it's really good, there's still little pieces that we still need to twinkle with the defense. We still need to help Najee Harris poor self because he's getting slandered on Twitter. Now they're talking about he's not even a top 25 back anymore. That's a good Lord. When did this happen? And again, if we would have just stuck with Mr. Trubisky, look who we have in this year's draft: Caleb Williams, Drake May, Quinn Ewers, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, maybe Shedeur Sanders. I doubt he comes out this year, but still, you had a lot of quarterbacks that you could have picked this year. You're not going to draft a quarterback this year. You're going to stick with Kenny Pickett. And now you're going to have 2 more years of Kenny Pickett before you have to make a decision on him. And my biggest fear is we're still not going to know what this kid is before it's time to make a decision. And now we're stuck with him for another contract. And I said, that's why I said, do not draft this guy. Not because I didn't think he was going to be any good, because we're not ready for our franchise quarterback yet. We were in a transition phase with our roster. And you let this asshole stay for another year. So now we still don't know what the hell is going on with Kenny Pickett, because he's getting better. But again, it was the Raiders defense. And once again, in the fourth quarter, when you had the lead, you can't run the ball. And once again, in the fourth quarter, you had like single-digit yards. You went 3 and out the last 2 possessions.
Almost y'all are bad to watch. Not the defense, the offense. But
like it's just ridiculous. Once again, hey Charles, let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a team that said, "Yeah, we have a bona fide number 1 receiver, we're just not going to throw it to him"? Have you ever seen that before? Like, I've never seen that. Where
the Browns with Odell. Now you brought it.
Maybe. I've never seen that before where like, yo, we know we have a guy on the outside, but we're not going to scheme him up. We're not going to throw it to him. We're not going to look at him. He's not going to be our first option on plays. This is the second week in a row we did that, where he had a 71-yard touchdown against the Browns, and that was in the second quarter. I think he had like 5 targets the rest of the game. What? Then on Sunday, we didn't throw it to him the whole first half. Then I think we threw it to him like 2 or 3 times in a row. And then they're like, all right, cool. That we met our quota for how many times we need to throw it to George Pickens. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what the hell are we doing? I had more stats about how bad Matt Kennedy is. Again, I'm not going to do it for time purposes, but let's just say we are literally statistically the most predictable offense in the NFL. Right? When we're in shotgun, we're passing. When we're under center, we're running. When we're in motion, we're doing a jet sweep. That is statistically proven that we are the most freaking predictable offense in the entire NFL. We don't throw over the middle field like any other team does. We're the only idiots that throw the outside numbers. We're just bad. We're just a bad offense. Get rid of him because you're hurting your ability to evaluate your young quarterback. Because you're going to have to, because it's only year 2. But guess what? Before we know it, it's going to be year 4, and you're going to have to pay this guy. And like I said, next year he's going to have a new offense coordinator. So if he sucks again next year, that's not going to be a complete evaluation because he's going to be learning a new freaking offense. Because you didn't want to get rid of this guy because, he has a year left in his contract. And, we don't want to hurt our young QB by putting in a different offense coordinators. No, why don't you just get it right the first time and get rid of this idiot and bring in a new offense coordinator? So that way, at least by next year, we have a full evaluation of what this guy could be. Last thing, Josh McDaniels is getting a lot of flack because he was down 8, I think. Yeah, he was down 8 late in the game. He decided to kick the field goal instead of going for it, and he's been getting killed. I don't like Josh McDaniels. You don't like Josh McDaniels. I'm here to say that was the right decision because at the end of the day, it made sense. You had to get a stop anyway. No matter how you looked at it, you were going to have to get a stop. And again, our offense went 3 and out the last 2 possessions. So he's probably thinking, yeah, let's kick the field goal because we can get a stop. And now a touchdown wins the game. And I would have punched a hole in the wall had that happened. But luckily our offense was able to get the first downs we needed to win the game. But he's been getting killed. I just want to give him his credit for that. I really do think that was a smart option. If you go for it and you don't get it, you still have to get a stop just to get the ball back and score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion just to tie the game. And statistically, they've been horrible on 2-point conversion. So that's a bad idea. If you get it, if you go for it and get it, yeah. But again, you still have to get a stop in order to at least get into overtime. Okay. 3, if you kick the field goal, once again, you get the stop, you get the game-winning thing. Again, no matter what, you still needed a stop. So I think that was a smart decision for an otherwise guy that doesn't make good decisions. I just want to give him his credit for that because he's getting killed for that decision. I'm like, I kind of agree with that one.
But yeah, I can see it. It's just a coaching decision. That's one of those ones where it's like, out of all the things he's done, like this is what you are gonna act like this is the worst decision he's ever made is math. But okay.
Yeah. Anyway, week 4 is interesting because there's a lot of huge divisional matchups. I kept talking about Dolphins, Bills. That's going to be a huge game. Could determine the division. I know it's only week 4, but again, these games matter. These division games matter. Buffalo going 2-2 with 2 divisional losses is a huge deal in terms of them trying to win the division, especially when one of those division losses is to the Dolphins, and then the Dolphins will be 4-0. So that's a huge game.
Oh, that's the game. I was going to say that's the only one besides my team that I even care about.
Yeah. Ravens, Browns.
We play the Seahawks on Monday night.
Huh?
I said we play the Seahawks on Monday night.
Yes, you do. Which sucks because Saquon's questionable, but I don't have anybody else on my fantasy team that plays on Monday. So I'm like, I guess I'm just gonna have to take the L and keep him on my bench because God forbid he doesn't play. I'm stuck. So whatever. Obviously Dolphins, Bills the biggest one. Ravens, Brown, Commanders, Eagles, Buccaneers, Saints. So those are 1, 2, 4 divisional games that like have huge implications in terms of early season. So that's good. And then there's teams fighting for wins. Vikings and Panthers, Broncos, Bears, Bengals, Titans. I thought those were interesting games just off of
Broncos, Bears is interesting for the worst of reasons.
Yes.
Bengals, Titans is interesting just because I think that's going to be a nice game to just figure out how the AFC is looking like as a conference. And Vikings, Panthers for the same reasons, but in the NFC. Because to go back to the Jets real quick, just because we talked about the Vikings and Kirk Cousins, to answer your question, I'm upset I didn't say it during that segment, but Cam Newton, sign Cam Newton. Everyone would rather fail with a likable guy like Cam than, anyway. But when it comes to the Vikings, and at least I'm being consistent here too, man, because me and you are consistent with our football ideologies. That 0-2, 0-3 shit is bullshit, because just like if you go 3-0, you could lose your next 3. And then you're 3-3, and all that statistical likelihood of making the playoffs means shit if you go on a 6-game losing streak after going 3-0. Likewise, the Vikings, they've lost their all these games by like a combined like 9 points. They have more turnovers than that point differential. So they could easily be 3-0 if they didn't turn the ball over and fumble it and Kirk Cousins threw those pick sixes. Then they'd be 3-0 here, and we have a completely different perception. There's no chance of Kirk Cousins getting traded, yada, yada, yada. And I only say that because there's 14 more weeks, and I think the Vikings can still make the playoffs. The Panthers, complete opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to the record. Their rookie quarterback is dealing with an injury. They're playing Andy Dalton, another backup that the Jets, it's just like, what are you guys doing? Period. But I'm more excited in that regard that if Bryce was playing and
he might, they said he might play.
Yeah, but I think the Vikings win. I think that's an easy Vikings win, short of.
Well, don't say easy. Don't say, the Panthers defense has been playing really well. So.
That's what I was about to say. But then again, the Panthers are one of those teams where you sleep on them and they win. Period. The Panthers are in that weird nexus of a team that the Jaguars were in around like 2016. Like they have talent. They just need to start putting it together and building off this talent because they have more talent than we initially thought going into the season. And that's not a high bar, but at the same time, I don't know. The coach, I have to talk to real Saints, real Panthers fans, not Brett, about how they've been looking.
Okay. Honestly, the game I'm most, besides Dolphins Bills, the game I'm most interested in is that Broncos Bears game because the Bears also got whooped by the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's like a bounce back game for both of them. I'm very interested to see how that's gonna end up.
I think it's funny because short of you having like some type of rivalry, like I'm sure older Giants fans can't wait to see the Bears lose. My dad's the opposite. My dad has like a respect for the Bears because of who they were in the 80s, and he's had a lingering hatred, not hatred, like some type of pettiness with the Broncos because of almost at WrestleMania, because Super Bowl 25 when the Giants beat the Broncos were like the hot team and da. And since 1986, I guess that was, my father has just not believed in any version of the Broncos, despite the Broncos having some of the best defenses in the last 25 years. My father sees the Broncos and he's just like that Homer Simpson meme of like, oh, the Denver Broncos. Like I don't know why. I just find it funny because this is such a bad game, and I bet it has such a ridiculous rating. There's going to be so many.
I'm so in for this. I'm so in for this game.
That's what I mean. Why are we interested? This is such a garbage game. Like I can't justify to my wife on Sunday if I turn this on.
This is one of those games like there's a good chance if I'm watching Red Zone, they never play this game because neither team gets over midfield. But at the same time,
in the middle of the field, like we both suck. Just run the clock.
But it's one of those things like, no, please, Scott Hansen, please go back to this game. I need to see this. I need to see this for myself. Yeah, by the way, to end this pod off, Dame Lillard already has a farewell song out right.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it, but you were going on about your Steelers, and I was like, you'd be actually mad at me if I cut him off during this rant to bring up Dame. Like, I might finally catch Brett like cursing at me on these pods because he would have been like, I know you did not just cut me off.
No, Dame Lillard has his farewell song to Portland. Go check that out where you listen to music. I'm for Bro One. You can find me at Never for Brett. That's NEVA_4 BRETT_ME on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter.
And Dame didn't come to Brooklyn, so I ain't checking out that song. I don't care. You in Wisconsin, go deal with your life now. And you can catch me, being miserable as a Giants fan. Hold on. I need to keep myself comfortable and warm. It's okay. We had better days. You find me at Chucky on all the socials at www.thedope.blog, _dope blog on Instagram, the dope blog, all one word, on Twitter. Fuck you, Elon Musk. And we can catch us everywhere because we're always dope discussing.
We're also the _dope blog on Threads if we ever use that. Threads. And because you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe, and join us next time. We continue to discuss other people's excellence. Deuces.
Memories.
Fuck you, Portland. You are petty, and I wish you nothing but misery.
I support that level of pettiness.
Oh, I know you do. We know you do.